So, you've opened your fair share of Pokemon cards and you've got a few extra. Well, maybe not a few. Maybe you have hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of extra cards from all the packs you've ripped. And you're thinking, what should I do with all this? Is it worth selling individually? After all, maybe you look around and someone in your area is willing to buy Pokemon bulk at, say, 1 cent a card. Right now, bulk prices are pretty cheap. Then you go on TCGPlayer and you notice that lots of bulk is getting sold for 5 cents a card, and sometimes even more, 20 cents a card, and sometimes even a dollar. You're thinking, well, maybe I'm going to get ripped off if I send these cards to my local supplier of bulk cards, and maybe I should just get rid of them myself. Maybe I should sort. So I'm going to go through a few considerations that you might not think of as you're setting up, and some reasons you might not want to sell bulk, whereas other people might. The first thing is size. If you don't have literally thousands or tens of thousands of cards in bulk, it's really not worth listing, and there's a few reasons for that. First off, there's the economies of scale. The fact of the matter is, the more orders you ship, the cheaper it gets at all ends, and the less time it takes. First off, let's talk about shipping supplies. If you're just buying top loaders or card savers, which you're going to send your cards in individually, they usually sell for anywhere from 10 to 30 cents in packs if you went on Amazon today and bought them up, for example. If you buy them in bulk, and I'm talking bulk of thousands and thousands, I bought 2,000 card savers the other day, they were 7 cents a piece. So that dramatically reduced the cost for me to ship and the profit margin on each order. Same thing with envelopes, same things with stamps, same things with penny sleeves. I just bought penny sleeves, 10,000 of them, for less than a cent for each, about 0.7 cents for each, which is about half the price you get them just buying them online off Amazon or eBay, say 500 or 1,000 of them at a time. I went and bought envelopes, 500 envelopes for about 2 to 3 cents a piece. I bought labels to print out people's addresses and to print out people's orders, invoices for about 2 cents per label. The label maker was about $100, but it's really only worth it if you're doing a high volume of orders. Stamps I'm getting for about 37 cents a piece in orders of 100 at a time off eBay, which is not worth if you're not doing that many orders. So at every step of the way, shipping an order literally costs like half the price if you are doing it in bulk versus individually. And so if you're only listing 1,000 cards or less, say, you're never going to need 10,000 sleeves or 2,000 card savers or whatever else like that. You're never going to need that much supplies, and so you're going to be losing a huge margin. Whereas if you're doing a high volume, your margin is going to be about double that on the shipping end per order. So that's a huge big deal right there where it might not be worth it. Also, time-wise, it's just a lot faster if you've got a lot of cards. If you're sorting, for example, cards, and you're going through, first you sort by set and then alphabetically. If you've got 12 different sets but only 30 cards a piece, that's a lot of sorting just to do 400 or 500 cards to sell. It will take you longer than if you've got 1,000 cards from one set, for example, because then you've got lots of repeats, you're stacking them up. When it comes to listing them, you're not listing one card, 1,000 different cards one at a time. You're listing 1,000 cards and each one might have 10, 15 copies. So it goes a lot faster. To sort and list every individual card, you're probably looking at a third or a quarter of the time if you've got lots of cards versus less than 1,000. So that's another big consideration as you're looking through your bulk and considering whether to sell it and list it. The third, in terms of time, is just taking the time out of your day to pack up orders. If you get one order a day or 2 orders a day, it's still going to take you time to get set up. You have to go print the invoices for the orders. You have to get the labels. You have to, get ready to set up to pack the orders, right? And all of that time is consistent no matter how many orders you have. Whether I have 20 orders or whether I have 2, I'm still taking the same amount of time to print what I need, for example, for that day of orders. And so on a per order basis, it's far less time if you've got a lot of them versus a few of them. And so all those things, you have to think about whether it's worth your time to list and sell bulk. If you've only got 1,000 cards, for example, let's say on average you would get, I'm just throwing a number out there, 7 cents per each card if you sold it. So you're looking at maximum potentially, $70 in value. Or you could send it to your current bulk buyer for 1 cent, 1.5 cents. So you're looking at maybe $10, $15. So you're thinking to yourself, I'm losing $50. If I just did this myself, I could make that money myself. Of course, then you're not looking at the labor, right? How much time does it take to sort the cards, to list the cards, to pack the cards, to send the cards, to get the supplies in the materials to pack the cards and send them, right? And at every step of the way, it's way more worth it to maybe just sell off the cards and not engage in the labor and have someone with a lot of bulk go through it and list it and sell it. Because, yeah, they're going to make more money, but it's because they have efficiencies. It's also going to take them less time. There's that concept in economics. oh my gosh, I forgot what the exact term is. But the idea is some people do labor more efficiently than others. Some countries can produce objects at a lower cost than others, and it's probably worth it just to pay them to do that labor rather than doing it yourself, because it just might not be worth it for you in terms of time, in terms of skill, in terms of supply. And so when there's someone in your local area or online that's willing to buy your bulk off you, at a lower price, but they have the skill and ability and speed and setup to get through it quickly, it's way more worth it for them to do it. It might not even be worth it for you. The time it takes for you to set it up, you might be making $5, $10 an hour, and which is really not much if you can get a job making more than that down the street. I mean, even here where we've been starting now, we've been going for 2 months. I feel like we've hit really good efficiency. I think we can still get a little more efficient in some respects, but I think what we're making is probably $25 an hour sorting, $30 an hour. Although, of course, it's really nice because you can do other things frequently while sorting. You can watch TV, you can listen to a podcast, whatever it is. That's not the point. We're efficient. And so we've got supplies for really cheap and all that. But if you're someone who doesn't have that sort of scale, you're going to be making way less money per order, because maybe 20, 30 cents less per order just simply because of shipping expenses being extra, less per card, and also the extra time of shipping and sorting and all that. So those are all important things to consider on whether it's worth your time. Now, if you're the type of person where you do have tens of thousands of cards, or you're looking to acquire them and you actually do want to get in this game, I think it could be worth it, for you, if you're willing to build on that, if you're willing to spend, $100 on a label maker because it spends too much time to write out addresses, and a label maker will print them really, really fast. Whether you're willing to go through and acquire, the shipping supplies at bulk initially, whether you have the capital to acquire a lot of bulk, right? I spent in my initial time, hundreds of dollars acquiring, actually over 1,000 acquiring a lot of bulk in terms of capital to get started. So at every step of the way, if that's something you're thinking about doing, it could be worth it if you have enough cards and you have the scale. But if you're not at scale, you really have to consider whether your time is worth that. And a lot of people in the Pokemon community actually realize that it's not worth their time to sell bulk. And they realize that because they know what bulk is, they know how labor intensive it is, and they realize that their time, they would prefer to watch a movie, without having to do that, or they would prefer to go work a job because they don't have the efficiencies built in. Or maybe they just have a higher paying job and it's not worth it for them for that reason too. That being said, if you have your own bulk, some advice I would give is to go through and pick out the cards. Now, this is obviously hurting myself if I end up buying bulk from you, but picking out some of the cards that are either the fastest sellers or the higher sellers. There is one card, for example, a trainer called Arita from the Astral Radiance, who's selling for more than $5 per card right now on a TCGPlayer. And I keep finding her in bulk because people are opening and ripping packs. They don't know trainers are worth much. They haven't sold before. And I keep finding these $5 cards, and it's like such a gem. If I'm paying a penny per card, then that one Arita find pays for 500 cards. So that's been really rewarding in terms of looking through bulk and finding those sort of secret treasures. But if that's your bulk and you're thinking about selling, you should probably pick those cards out, or go on TCGPlayer's site and find the best selling cards to sell. So anyway, those are my initial advice on whether you should sell bulk, and look at your collection and make that decision for yourself, whether you have the scale, the time, the efficiency to make that worth your while. And in the future, I'm going to be making other related videos, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this advice.